flown out to Dublin to meet George Groves for the first time in a while. We haven't caught up in ages, have we? We're out in
we haven't.
The Four Seasons Hotel, beautiful hotel. We're here for the Dublin Poker Festival.
Yes.
And should be very entertaining. But first of all, we've got some boxing to talk about.
Okay.
I suppose most of the talk at the moment is about Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. Hugely controversial fight, one of the most controversial fights. It's now been officially sanctioned as a professional fight, which a lot of people have got kind of riled up about.
Right, yeah.
2 8-minute rounds. Nope, 8 2-minute rounds. Just testing you. But what's your overall feeling about it? Do you think it will still go ahead at this point? Do you think anyone's going to pull out? Do you think it's getting to the crunch time now? 2 weeks to go, isn't it?
Yeah, I've seen a bit of footage this week of Mike Tyson in the gym, and they're saying all the right things.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't quite seen enough of it to work out if he's, you know, in great condition to box. But fighting Paul, I'm not surprised Paul is sanctioned to be a professional boxer. He seems in good health. He's of a decent boxing ability.
Yeah.
The question would be obviously over Mike Tyson's age. I think if you've got both these guys fighting each other, if Tyson wins, it's great. You know, it's great entertainment.
Yeah. Everyone's going to be gunning for him.
If Paul wins, maybe via a knockout, it's not going to sit right with a lot of people. A lot of people are going to be like, oh, you know, because Tyson is not just a former champion. Is he 58 years of age now? So about 58 by the time they're boxing. Granddad.
An iconic figure of the sport.
Yeah, and I think that aside, I think it is purely. I mean, just me. Maybe I've got a different perspective as a former fighter, but just someone of his age fighting a younger man. If he gets knocked out, it's like, you know. I wouldn't be surprised if that does happen. I don't think anyone can really be surprised because age does catch up with you, does get to you, and but you know if it's an event that's going to transcend, you know, popular culture, not even sport, just get eyeballs on the screen. Everyone's going to want to see it. Then so be it. And I suppose as a former fighter, you know, I have to look at it fortunately that people do gravitate towards boxing. You know, if these two were going to do anything else, if they were we're here for poker. If they were going to play poker, I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
But would I be as drawn as I would be for a boxing match?
No,
you know, if they were going to do darts or football or something else, it wouldn't be as captivating as boxing because boxing is boxing. That's just the way it is.
That's exactly it. It's the fight game. Mike Tyson says he's training extremely hard, 6 hours a day, starting at 11, leaving the gym at 5 p.m. Do you think people are underestimating the stamina he's still got, the power he's still got?
Yeah, I think.
Age is different kind of these days, isn't it? 58, maybe he's not as old as it used to be. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I think it's yeah. Who knows like what sort of training he's doing at 6 hours a day, whether that's beneficial to him or not, whether that's the truth or not.
True.
You need it. It takes a bit longer to recover the older you get.
That's true.
So if he's in the gym grafting for 6 hours a day, it's not really giving a lot of time to recover from. Right. So that might just be a little nugget for us to sort of digest.
Warfare, yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Paul, when he comes time to box, he's got a lot of risk. He can't afford to lose. No, and he is in there, you know. If you're going to look back through the Tyson archive, you know, he's a vicious man, like a dominant man. So if he's leaning into that a little bit and thinking maybe he's still capable of those things, it's risk there, certainly.
For sure.
But I think.
What do you think Tyson's going to come out all guns blazing? Because 2 minute rounds is obviously a lot easier, I suppose, relatively than 3 minute rounds. So maybe 2 minute. Well, the first 2 rounds, just go all in. If it's not going his way after that, could see a little Ben Whittaker tactic over the top ropes.
Over the top ropes, yeah, possibly. Who knows? But I think Tyson, if you look back at Tyson's fights, it was always just started quick, pedal to the metal, boom. You know, he was never in it for a points win, was he?
Never. So
why would he change now? He must know that he's dangerous early and probably not backing himself down the stretch. The 2 minute rounds will suit him because he's getting a minute's rest after, quicker than usual.
That's it.
So,
No headgear, but bigger gloves, so that kind of balances out.
Is it bigger gloves? Yeah, they're
14-ounce gloves.
14-ounce gloves, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get some spiteful 14s. We'll see which ones they show up with.
True.
But if they've gone for 14, it's because they've opted for more padding.
Yeah.
So maybe they're just both on the padding. Maybe there is no desire to knock one another out. Maybe Tyson's trying to nick a points victory. Who knows?
Yeah. Could see it go to the judges. See what happens. He's being trained by a 3-time Brazilian Muay Thai champion, Rafael Cordeiro, which is interesting because he's had so many trainers over the years, hasn't he? Some legendary trainers. So maybe he's trying to pick up a few Muay Thai tactics. I don't know. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, what can you teach Mike Tyson at this stage?
Yeah.
I think he's got to be a tough man. And usually guys from the mixed martial arts backgrounds, whether it be martial art or whatnot, they usually have very clever, old school, unconventional methods, and they're usually tough guys. So I can imagine that's what Tyson's lent into.
Yeah.
And he wants to be quick, wants to be powerful, but he wants to be tough too. So maybe that's what we'll see.
I see some unorthodox tactics come out. It remains to be seen. But let's talk about Anthony Joshua for a minute. Obviously suffered a pretty devastating defeat to Daniel Dubois. Now he's got to pick up and decide where he goes from here. If you were in his shoes, would you be looking for the rematch? Would you be waiting to see what happens with Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury, and then maybe fighting Fury next summer? He's got decisions to make, hasn't he? Really big ones.
Yeah, I think the fight that everyone around him will be saying is the Tyson Fury fight, because it's been spoken about for years. It's two Brits, two biggest names in boxing fighting each other, but they both lost their last fights, and Fury's going to box Usyk again. He may not beat him, and from my understanding, Joshua has the opportunity to have a rematch with Daniel Dubois. I don't think that's quite the right move for him. I think maybe not necessarily a rebuilding fight or not, but maybe a tie-in over fight and wait for Fury, or maybe just not box now and go into a Fury fight off the back of a loss, which won't be ideal. But both guys will probably look at one another and say, right, it's very sour the way that this has turned out, but our legacy, our history, our how people reflect upon our careers might be very dependent on if we box each other and who comes out on top and who loses.
True.
So if Joshua decides I'm going to box Fury and beat him, he'll leave the sport with some grace. He'll leave the sport on a high, and that'll be people saying, well done. There will always be debate about who could beat whom in their prime, but sometimes it's about who weathered the storm the longest. Who could. I had a longer career, so to speak. But if he loses to Fury, then it's another loss on the record. He's dropped a few decisions now, and it might hurt him. It might hurt him, but it might be worth that. I think guys at his
he'll
stage
struggle to leave the sport off the back of a loss. Do you think he won't want to go out like that?
I left the sport off the back of a loss,
true.
and it happens. But I left the sport after a world title fight, which I didn't win. So I left the sport, at the top of my game. People say that, you
were younger than Anthony Joshua, was?
I was younger than Anthony Joshua, but I'd had a 10-year pro career by then.
Very good career.
And people say, he was finished and the body was giving up, stuff like that. But the truth was, like, a fight before then, I was in the best form of my life. I was world champion.
Yeah, beat Chris Eubank Jr.
Beat Chris Eubank Jr. So I think if I was Joshua, I'd say maybe not roll the dice, leave the sport now. You're a 2-time heavyweight champion. You've avenged one of the losses. You got beat by Usyk, who are probably going to end up being the best of this generation.
Yeah.
And the Daniel Dubois fight was just the end of your career. That is in saying, sometimes you have to pass on the torch. And
True.
Dubois is younger and hungrier, fresher maybe, and got it right on the day.
Interesting about Dubois. Where is the limit for him? Where's the bar for him? Because a lot of people have wrote him off previously, but what incredible performance and mental focus. Really, he was so focused going into that fight. Can he become undisputed? Because Usyk won't be around for that much longer, presumably.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, undisputed is undisputed, but can he become the number one in the division once Usyk retires?
Yeah.
I can see so. I can believe it because, Usyk is 38 now, is he? So he's not going to be around forever. He might decide that if this Fury fight comes off, he beats Fury, that maybe that's enough for him. But
you wouldn't blame him, would you?
No, I mean, he's had a fabulous career, fantastic career. Like, but he will go. As time goes on, we're going to look back and remember him as a special fighter.
Yeah.
But Dubois, I think he's gone strength to strength. He boxed really good in that Usyk fight. Usyk was just too good for him, too clever, maybe too experienced. But so then he seems an improved fighter. He's grown and matured, and the Joshua performance was spectacular. He rose to the occasion. Exactly.
Massively.
So if you put him in with, is it a Joseph Parker? Is it a Zhile Zhang? Is it one of these guys? So you wouldn't pay against him.
I think he can pick his next opponent, can't he? The IBF president said. So where does he look? Fabio Wardley, big sort of British fight.
Yeah, Wardley. We might not have seen the best Wardley yet. He's relatively inexperienced as an amateur. He's progressed really good. Devastating win for him against Fraser Clark last time out. But so that might push him straight to the front of the list. I think they're both with Queensberry now, so it's an easy fight to make.
Good point. Yeah, good point.
But I think there's a lot of heavyweights out there. There's some in there you're like, well, Martin Bakole. Do you want to fight a Martin Bakole? Maybe that's a tough fight.
Yeah, dangerous. Maybe not that kind of tempting, really.
Yeah.
Because there are enough financial rewards there for a fight like that versus the risk that it brings. True.
But with like Moses Atauma coming through, he'll be eyeing up Dubois now, saying, well, I'm with Queensberry. Can you get me a shot? So there's some great fights, but I'd like to see Dubois before fighting an Atauma or something, then just consolidate his win, couple more wins. I think he's still improving. So
a lot of people have said Joseph Parker deserves a shot.
Yeah, I think Parker deserves a shot.
Zhang beat Wilder, didn't he? So
yeah. He's boxing really well. Looks in good shape. I think he's changed his strength and conditioning coach. He's working with Andy Lee. He's been, I think it's no disrespect, but sort of in the shadows, training alongside Tyson Fury, and sort of now people are looking at him going, well, he's next coming. He's a force.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Moses Atauma there. I think Tyson Fury's brought him in as a sparring partner, which is a good move for Tyson Fury there, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're looking for southpaw sparring, probably the best around. Moses Atauma is still young, still available, so to speak. Like once you get a bit more further on in your career, you're not going to spar champions or challengers. So it makes sense. It's a really good learning experience for Moses Atauma. And I'd probably, as long as neither are getting beaten up too much in the gym, it made sense for both guys. So I think it's a great move for Tyson Fury to have Moses Atauma in the gym.
Yeah, I mean, Tyson still believes he won that first fight. Do you think that's a kind of defense mechanism, refusing to accept that he was kind of outboxed on that day? Or do you think it's just kind of psychological warfare going into the rematch? It's weird with rematches, isn't it? I suppose you already know who you're going in with and you know what happened the first time, but you can't necessarily accept it didn't go to plan. Yeah.
I mean, it's the first time Fury's been humbled, first time he's been beat. Yeah. So, I see him at the press conference last week. His face looks in like trim. Looks like he's probably been in the gym, taking it seriously. I don't think he won that first fight. I don't think he was close to winning that first fight. He had a really good spell from maybe round 5, 6 and 7. But then Usyk again cranked up the gears. But that is enough. That's enough for a fighter like Fury to build upon. And he is good and he can adapt and he can change. So you don't want to write him off entirely. You say, well, he would have learned from that. It's the first time he's lost as a pro. So it's the first time he's lost in a very long time. But, clever guy, clever fighter. They both would have learned so much about each other in those 12 rounds.
That's
so
Tony Bellew always says, Usyk downloads the info and then he just uses it against you. So, but then also Tyson Fury came into that fight quite light, didn't he? More, I think, lighter than he has been for most of his heavyweight career. So do you think he'll change it up this time? Come in bulkier, try and just use his weight, intimidate him?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, you don't want to give ground with Usyk. You know, like you want to come out and try and take the center of the ring and make him move around you. He's a shorter guy, so he's then got to cover a lot of distance with his feet. But if he's able to back you up and back you out of position, then you know Fury. Although a lot of people will say that he's sort of a back foot counter puncher and he's done it before in the past, he's actually much better as an aggressive counter puncher. Like the success he had with Wilder was when he came out, took that center of the ring, forced the pace, landed the shots, and punched off of Wilder's work, which is the same. If he did that against Usyk, he will have success because, you know, even though he's been down before, Fury, he has got back up. You know, he usually has got good punch resistance. Body shots, I don't think I've ever really seen him get hurt to the body.
That's true.
And it looks like Usyk, you know, would be more susceptible to the body attacks. So if he lands something to the ribs, he does slow down, he does show signs. Fury had a bit of success there.
Dubois did the same, didn't he?
And Dubois dropped him, you know, controversially, low the belt, rah. So, yeah, you know, it's a fascinating one. But Usyk obviously hurt Fury in that fight. He hurt him.
Did hurt him, yeah.
And
didn't
therefore
drop him, but hurt him.
Didn't drop him, but Fury was, to his credit, didn't go down, but was fortunate. The referee jumped in. I thought the fight was over.
That's a good point.
Gave him a standing 8 count, and those, you know, that would have been a taxing fight for him. That would have been an aging fight for him.
Let's talk about Chris Eubank Jr., someone who you've obviously defeated in your career, and Conor Benn. Do you think that fight will happen? Will it happen next year? What weight will it happen at, and who wins that?
It looks like it's going to happen next. It looks like it will happen, in my opinion, at middleweight. I can't see Eubank Jr. being able to get below middleweight. He looks really cut and really lean at that 160 mark. I don't think Conor Benn will be too fussed about going up to 160. He looks like he's desperate for a fight.
He looks
so
ready,
he's sort of chasing around, pushing for this fight. He was out in Saudi, ringside, really a whole week. For the Eubank setup, and you know, I don't think it was Eubank didn't set the world alight with that performance. I thought he looked a little bit fragile, a little bit light, a little bit old, and if them two were to box, probably go with Conor Benn, to be honest. And I wouldn't have gone that way when the fight was made. I would have thought Eubank would have just had too much experience, too big, too strong. But I think, you know, Father Time's caught up with Junior, and Conor Benn, even though he's been out of the ring, looks in good shape, looks up for it. I wouldn't be surprised if he could start fast, land something, and have an effect that throws the fight in his favour. Yeah,
it could be a great fight. Could be. Do you think where will we see it happen? Saudi?
It'll be in Saudi.
It'll be in Saudi. Yeah. Well, hopefully it does happen, because if we've waited.
It's a good fight. It's a great fight, and it's a fight that makes sense now. Really, we spoke about it for so long, but either guy, which way are they going to go? There's loads of great fights for Conor Benn, but if you're looking after Conor Benn, which ones you're not going to put him in for Crawford or an Ennis or any of those sort of elite level guys. Anything lower doesn't match up. Whereas this makes sense. If he fights Eubank at the right time, gets a win, gets a good payday, can maybe use that to push his career on. Yeah, because he needs that now. He's been stalled for a while, doesn't he? So he gets that fight in and then see where he goes from there. Yeah. Quick word about Jack Catterall, though. Great win for him at the weekend. Where does he go from here? Devin Haney or Teofimo Lopez? Yeah, I saw that like a few of the people saying that they might bring Teofimo Lopez. They can bring him to the UK for Catterall. Yeah. I think it's a great fight for the UK fan. You know. Whether that's right for Teofimo Lopez, whether he would want to come over here or not, I'm not sure. Same with Devin Haney, whether you could get him over here, I'm not sure. But you know, I'd like to see Jack Catterall be involved in some more big fights with some big names, and I think he deserves it. You know, he's got the win over Josh Taylor now. He's got a win over Prograis. So you know, they're two, you know, not at their height, you know, not necessarily past their best, but not at their best fighters. So let's see him in with Devin Haney, who's, you know, still possibly on the rise. I think that'd be a great fight. Yeah, for sure. I mean, Devin Haney obviously lost to Ryan Garcia, but Garcia failed a drugs test, didn't he? And I think Paulie Malignaggi said Ryan Garcia is not strong or good when he's not doping, which is a bit controversial because he knocked out a lot of people, well, allegedly before he was doping. So
where does that leave Ryan Garcia's career at the moment? He's still suspended, isn't he? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Tricky place.
So
for him to
he
be
got caught for something, didn't he?
Yeah.
Was it cocaine or was it something else?
No, I think it was what's it?
Yeah, I know it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm not sure. Each to his own. He's you know, sometimes Ryan Garcia might need to save him from himself, really, shouldn't he?
Yeah,
So,
true.
But he's
hopefully he can get his career
a
back
big
on
character.
track.
Yeah.
Some more big fights for him in the future. All right, I think that's caught us all up with all the boxing at the moment. We'll talk about some poker later on, but maybe back to the Guinness for now.
Yeah, cool.
All right, George Rose, thank you very much for your time. Cheers.